Welcome into CBS Sports HQ, presented by Geico. Jordan Giorgio and Chris Hassel with you here in our studios down in South Florida. Meanwhile, out in Memphis, Jordan Spieth began the day in the lead following the first round of the opening FedEx Cup playoffs event.
Yes, the St. Jude Championship, a great start for Jordan Spieth. It was his low round of the year, at least low first round of the year, but going to have to keep going low if you're going to win this event. It's been soggy. Scoring conditions have been great. And the top three players in the FedEx Cup standings have just teed off. It was a decent day for a couple of them. Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy both 3 under par in round one. But Jon Rahm, who's leading the FedEx Cup standings, over par, 3 over in his first round. There's Scheffler teeing off. They're going off hole 1 today. Yesterday, this threesome went off the back 9, but starting on the par 4 first. There's Jordan Spieth. He's dropped the shot early on today. He went off the backside, bogeyed 12. This is his tee shot on the par 3 14th. Spieth no longer in the lead, in a tie for second right now. Lucas Glover, JT Poston are at 7 under, and oh boy, horrific start for Jordan Spieth, as that ball appeared to go in the water. Rory McIlroy teeing off. And McIlroy 3 under. He was in third place to start this week, about 1,000 points behind Jon Rahm, who's still projected number 1 despite his rough showing in round 1. This is the up-to-date live leaderboard with Glover and Poston on top. Jordan Spieth 6 under, but in trouble at the 14th hole, his 4th of the day. Colin Morikawa also up there, 6 under par. He was 5 under yesterday, a 65, and he's 1 under through a couple holes today. All right, let's bring in Kyle Porter to go through some of this. And Jon Rahm, we did not see him tee off, but he's just underway here in the second round. He's still projected to be number 1, even though he started the day in the bottom 5 in this field. How important is it for him, or is it really important standings-wise this week?
Yeah, I think it's mildly important. He can't really be caught this week just because of the lead that him and Scottie Scheffler have built as number 1 and number 2 in the FedEx Cup standings. But he can be kind of caught and overtaken next week at the BMW Championship. To be clear, he can be caught this week, just not by that many guys. It's really next week where it starts to become apparent that Rahm could really drop down those rankings, and you want to start number 1 going into the Tour Championship because you're going to start at 10 under, right? And if you start number 2, you're 8 under, and then so on down the line. If you drop to, let's say Rahm drops to 7, 8, 9 next week, if he's playing poorly at the end of the BMW Championship, then all of a sudden you lose that entire advantage that you built up over the regular season that you can take into that final Tour Championship with $18 million on the line. So really important next 7 rounds for Jon Rahm as he plays out the kind of the string at the St. Jude this week, and then on into the BMW Championship next week.
And as we looked at how those players are doing in the top 10 of the standings coming into the week, nobody better than 3 under par. Tony Finau was 3 under par, but Rory and Scottie also 3 under. Kind of an up and down opening round 67 for both of those guys. There were eagles, there were double bogeys. What are you looking for in round 2 from those two?
Well, I mean, these guys have been the 2 best players of the last 3, 4, 5 months, if you look at just kind of statistically. So I think even though in round it can sometimes be a roller coaster, and often is a roller coaster, I think when you look at a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, you expect both of those guys to be there. I think for me, I'm looking at how many putts are they making? You know, are they able to put a score together based on how they're putting? Because it's been a little bit of the story of both of them this week. You know, we've talked a lot about Scottie Scheffler's putting throughout the season. He's kind of tinkering with some new putters. Rory's got a new putter in the bag this week as he takes on TPC Southwind. So that for me, tee to green, I'm not worried about them whatsoever. It's, are they going to win? And if they do end up winning on Sunday, it's going to be because they had a great putting week throughout the week at TPC Southwind.
And Rory McIlroy just birdied the first hole, so he's now to 4 under par. Scottie Scheffler with a par on that first hole. By the way, we saw Jordan Spieth go into the water at that par 3 14th. He bogeyed that one, so he's dropped a couple of shots already, entered the day alone at the top at 7 under par, and now back to 5 under par. This is kind of more the Jordan Spieth we've been accustomed to seeing the last 5 years or so today. Yesterday, he didn't have a single bogey.
Well, listen, Hassel, this is the Jordan Spieth experience, right? This is what we know and love. Yesterday was an anomaly. He's not going to go very many rounds without making a bogey. A bogey-free 63 with 5 birdies and an eagle is extraordinary. It was a really good start for him. And you know, look, like the last 3-4 months have not been great for Jordan Spieth. He finished T5 at the Memorial. Hasn't had a lot of success other than that. He's got 4 missed cuts since finishing runner-up at the RBC Heritage right after the Masters in April. So it's not been a great summer. You know, it really hasn't. And so it was good to see him get off to that good start. The 2 bogeys early on Friday, that's built into all the models. I think we're right where we need to be with Spieth. It's going to be really interesting to see how he kind of handles things, playing out the rest of the playoffs and then on into the Ryder Cup for him in September.
Collin Morikawa also out there on the course, opening round 65. He's 1 under through a couple holes today. Another guy kind of like Spieth, just hasn't really had a good summer. No top 10s since the Masters. What's been holding Morikawa back this season?
Well, it's a great point about Morikawa. It's the short game for me. If you look at his short game numbers, they're not that good. You know, really all season, but especially in the summer. You got to go back to the Scottish Open last year, Hassel, last summer, right before the Open Championship, to find an event where he wasn't positive in ball striking. The ball striking's been there. It's been really good in the fall. He was excellent at the beginning of 2023. And it's been pretty solid throughout the spring and summer. It's the short game. And he putted it great on Thursday. For me, it's a matter, can you keep that up? And if so, you know, we talked about this a lot with Collin Morikawa. If he putts at all, he wins. And that seems to be the case right now with how he's hitting the golf ball. He's the guy that I'm keeping my eye on Friday to kind of make a move and potentially kind of take over this tournament as we go into the weekend.
6 under par. And again, he is going to donate $1,000 per birdie throughout the entire playoffs to help those wildfire efforts in Maui, where he has family. So a nice gesture there. It's now a 3-way tie at the top. Tommy Fleetwood has joined Lucas Glover and JT Poston at 7 under par. Kyle Porter going to be joining us with updates from the St. Jude and the FedEx Cup playoffs throughout the course of today, the weekend, and the next 2-3 weeks. FedEx Cup playoffs beginning on CBS on Saturday. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern time, we'll have 3rd round coverage. It's also streaming live on Paramount Plus. And they'll always have you updated round by round on the First Cut podcast, a round 2 recap coming up later on today.